Calling the meeting to order. Everyone, please stand for the pledge. Mr. Secretary, can you please take the roll?
Ms. Cherry?
Present.
Dr. Connors?
Present.
Mrs. Corradino?
Here.
Mr. King?
Here.
Mrs. Lane?
Here.
Ms. Rashid?
Here.
Mrs. Salgado Cowan?
Present.
Ms. Scotto?
Here.
Ms. Smith?
Here.
We have 9 present.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Hereby be it known that the Piscataway Township Board of Education has complied with the notification requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for the announcement of this meeting, date and place on April the 30th, 2023, in the following manner. Posting of the public notice on the posting board for the Board of Education in the Administration Building, email notification to the newspapers serving Piscataway, the Home News Tribune, and the Courier News, email notification filed with the municipal clerk at the municipal building on Hose Lane. This meeting is being videotaped. This recording is not an official record or supplement to the minutes and is intended only as a source of information that the public might utilize at a later date to familiarize themselves with the board's activities. Executive session. Be it resolved that the board adjourn to executive session for the purpose of review and discussion of personnel agenda, litigation, HIB monthly reports, and other matters pursuant to law NJSA 10:4-12B. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
We are in executive session. Be it resolved that the board reconvenes to public session. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
We're back in public session. Next up on the agenda, we will be starting with the student representatives. Welcome back to school year 2023-2024. Now that you're our senior student representative, it is an incredible job to see you sitting in that seat.
Absolutely.
And we want to welcome you, Tanji, to our new representative, as the junior representative for the high school. Welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here tonight, and it's your turn.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all doing well and had a great summer. It's great to be back here with Tanvi, of course, and with all of you.
And
Um,
remind us of your name just in case we don't remember.
oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, my name's Rahim. So yeah, this new school year has been great. It's been going amazing so far. Obviously, we've been like a week in, a little over a week. We were just talking to Mr. Balasano this morning, and he was like joking around. He's like, from the administrative standpoint, like they got to make sure the buses are on time. There's food in the cafeteria, and all that's run smoothly this year. We didn't really have any hiccups with the new school year, and like school activities are in full fledged. They're going on. Over the summer, like I mentioned in June, there was the AP Summer Institutes going on to really like get a jump ahead for the students taking AP summer classes. And then also, something I wanted to highlight is there's a new AP course this year, AP African American Studies, which I thought was really cool, and it's actually a pilot program at the high school, so it's the second year that the country's doing it, and Piscataway is one of the schools that's participating, and I think it's really nice. Like, I'm taking the class, and I think it's really great that, like, some schools they're not even allowed to take it, and then, like, in Piscataway, it's really a privilege that we have that. So that's been great. Also, with the new school year, there's been, like, improvements in, like, the school itself. Like, I noticed there's, like, new water bottle, like, filling stations throughout the high school. So there's, like, all of the teachers and students have like noticed that, pointed that out. So like a lot of kids aren't bringing like plastic water bottles anymore. They could just like easily fill that up with the filtered stations. We had maybe like 2 last year, but this year there's way more. I'm not sure of the exact amount, but most of the water fountains have been replaced with that. And then also with the freshman seminar classes over the summer, the mentors, the juniors and the seniors had a summer camp to like train them on how they're going to mentor the freshman seminar classes this year. And then the freshmen that came in this year, obviously that like easily rolled them into it. And with that, we also are having like grade specific class meetings within gym classes. So like our dean or our assistant principal comes in and like just gives an overview of what the year's gonna be like, and for like seniors specifically for like college applications and what to expect for that, or whatever they choose to do like career bound for post high school plans. And then also there's so many clubs starting up back again from last year, and then there's still new clubs starting. I just noticed like an announcement for like a new jazz a cappella group starting up this year. And then there's a club fair next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, where the freshman and sophomore classes will have a chance to tour all the club booths that we have and get involved in whatever they like. Also, on October 13th, we have a pep rally planned. I know we still are getting like the logistics and details down for that. Tom's going to touch upon that a little bit more. But we're also going to have a spirit week that week, so I know a lot of students are looking forward to that. In terms of like student voices being heard, there's Mr. Balzano starting a new initiative this year called like Lunch with the Principal, where like students can just sign up to meet with Mr. Baldessano over lunch and like talk about their concerns or whatever's going good at the school. So it's not like we already have a principal's advisory council that's like set, but it's like a limited group of students. So he wants to broaden their horizons, and so administration can really understand what's going on. So I think that's great. And then student government is also going to be working on like empowering other students' voices that often aren't heard. We also obviously had football games, and Piscataway won last Friday. I know there's been safety protocols starting at the football games, and I know there's like more being added. I know students first had concerns with that, but seeing like what happened, feel like it's understandable. And then also, um, we're starting to like have themes to like we had one unofficially on Friday, but moving forward they're gonna be official like themes to like dress up. So like on Friday it was like white out. So like if you notice some of the students in the stand were like wearing white. So we're like trying to have like maybe like pink out for breast cancer, things of that nature for the future home football games. So that's in the works. But yeah, overall the school's been busy and I can't wait for a great year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. And I just want to comment on one thing you had said, the student voices with the principal lunch. One of the goals, matter of fact, on that board behind me, is for the central office people to get more involved and hear the students as well. So we'll work with the principals, and don't be surprised if you see people in this room at those meetings as well, because it's really important for us to be connected to the students. And you're right, it's not just a set group of AP kids or student government kids, or it's anyone throughout the school who signs up for that lunch or has something to say. We'd be more than happy to go, go have that connection with them. So I'm happy that Mr. Baldessano has started that. He and I talked about that last week. So I appreciate you bringing that up here.
That's so cool. Sorry. Okay, so thank you, Rahim. So my name is Tanvi, and as Rahim mentioned before, there's a lot starting up in the high school already. For example, there are so many clubs already posting about their meetings and having their interest meetings. For example, Mock Trial already has one, FBLA, HOSA, Drama Club that we've been hearing in the announcements. There's OSIN audition soon, and I know they're already planning out what they want to do. Health and Wellness Club is also starting up again, which is more of like a low-key club, but it's pretty much just like to benefit the students in the district and just work towards improvement in general wellness. For example, like I'm a part of it, so last year we actually went to a conference and we actually won some money for the school, so it was very exciting. So I'm looking forward to talking about that at the club fair, which Rahim already mentioned. As far as like national honor societies are starting up again, so there's like applications and there's been more opportunities for seniors and juniors for like clubs and all the honors societies. I know Monday Science National Honor Society is hosting one, and they're actually, I'm pretty sure, bringing in a guest speaker to talk about like learning habits, which I think is so amazing because like as the students we might need it. As far as sports have been going so well. As mentioned, like the football team had a huge win last Friday. Boys soccer is doing well, and girls volleyball actually had a game today, which they just won. During the summer, as well as AP institutions, there was also preseason. So I was actually at the high school at 7 a.m. every day for cross country, but it was definitely good. And all the sports are looking really good, and there's a lot of hope for all of them. As far as Spirit Week, yes, there's a pep rally on October 13th, and I know Mr. Baldessano already mentioned considering having one in spring, so that way we can honor the winter sports and the spring sports, so no sport feels like excluded. There's also Battle of Classes, which is when you grade level like compete each other through like school spirit and like dressing, and there's just a bunch of fun things like hallway decor. As far as like there's been more of an implementation of policies, for example, like prior to COVID, IDs were not as enforced as much, but this year IDs are very emphasis, which is a great safety measure, as well as like there's a new late work policy. So I know in all the classes teachers have been talking about like making sure grades are like 70% since some tests. So there've been a lot of new things going on.
Thank you, Tom. We appreciate it. I do want to touch on one thing that you said, and I think it's really important. Again, part of the goals that we have set as a board, and we wanted to make sure that the schools do it as well. A perfect example. So you mentioned the NHS Science, National Science Honor Society holding that after-school program, and Ms. Pritchard is actually bringing in a speaker to talk about really wellness, right? Where we focus a lot of wellness on people who maybe exhibit need, right? We want to be proactive, and it's a really good thing that she's holding this for kids who are, high achieving in the Honor Society, put a lot of pressure on themselves, have a lot of AP classes, things like that. So just really time management, wellness, how to de-stress, things like that. So I saw the presentation, and I'm going to try to make it. It's a really good thing. So I appreciate you bringing that up here as well. Yeah. Nice job.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for your report. You do not have to stay for the remainder of the meeting. It's up to you, but we would love to have you if you want to stay. If not, we understand you have work to do and you have to get up early in the morning. But if you decide to leave, get home safe, and it was good seeing you. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. you.
Next on the agenda is the President's Report. So my President Report for September 14th, 2023. We are thrilled to see that the 2023-2024 school year got started so successfully. Teachers and students are settling back into their classroom routine and looking forward to all the success as well as the changes to come this year. We started our back to school night next week, where parents get to learn firsthand about their children's daily experience. You will get to meet their teachers, see their classrooms, learn their schedules, and more. We urge all parents to attend so that you can learn all you can about your child's school life and help them start out the school year strong. Our Board of Education members look forward to meeting and speaking with as many families as we can at the back to school nights. We will have representation at every back to school night at every school. You'll never know who you're going to see, but one of us will be there. We're very excited to report that for the 6th year in a row that our district has been awarded the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting for our fiscal year 2022 audit report. I want to thank Mr. David Oliveira for the awesome job and his 10 years and consecutive years of success for it being 6 years in a row. Hats off to you. This award for the Association of School Business Officials International represents a significant achievement and reflects Piscataway Township Schools' commitment to transparency and high-quality financial reporting. Congratulations to the business office once again for the fine job that you're doing, and a special recognition and continued excellence in the area of financial management. We have faith in you, Dave. We know you're going to hold it down, and we're going to go for number 7. And that's my President's Report. Next on the agenda, we have the Superintendent's Report.
Thank you. Also, I want to thank everybody who put in any kind of work for the opening of the school. For the school year, it went extremely smoothly, and we're really thankful for everybody's hard work. Following up on that, I want to thank we had a convocation of sorts, so where all of the teachers on the first day the teachers came back to school went to the high school and sort of had a little pep rally of their own to celebrate the teachers. I want to highlight the Piscataway Education Foundation, who provided breakfast for that. They do a lot of work to raise funds, and it's no small feat, but they provided breakfast for over 1,000 people, and we're really thankful for that. Huge thank you to the Piscataway Elks for donating over 75 backpacks filled with supplies to our kids. Again, we can't do this alone, and we appreciate all the partnerships that we have in the township. The Piscataway Band Festival is October 7th, beginning at 4:30. We have 12 bands. We're really excited. We did not have this last year, and we're happy to have it back. Piscataway will be performing. They're not in the competition because they host, but they'll be performing last in the progression. And about 2 weeks before, we'll know about that time. So I'll get that out to all of you, and it's a great night.
And it's my understanding that there will be food served this year.
Oh,
So
nice.
Yes.
that is a huge thing for people who are coming to the festival, because it can
Yes.
be a long night.
Yeah, it'll be a long night. 4:30, typically till about 11:30, getting out of there after 12. Yep. So it's wonderful though. Also, we sent out a flyer to all the stakeholders about our district strategic planning, which will be coming up this year. Our strategic plan, again, something back here, was set in 2018 for a 5-year period, 2019 to 2024. So by the end of this June, our strategic plan, our strategic goals will run out. So we want to work this year to re-up the goals for 2024 to 2029, I guess. Can't even think that far ahead, but we encourage all stakeholders, all community stakeholders, students, staff, community members, parents, people who aren't connected to the school but are Peeway community members, senior citizens from the senior citizen community. We want everybody to come and really help us shape the future of the schools. Okay, so we're really excited about that. So this last piece of the superintendent's report is a holdover from last year, and I'm going to turn the floor over to Bill Baskerville, who today was hit with one of the teachers brought over our NASA project, and he has a lot of details, but I will steal his thunder with one thing. This was a project that 600 schools across the country submitted for, and they only selected 60. So we're in the top 10% of the country to be connected with NASA, which is incredible. So I'll turn the floor over to Bill, and he's going to explain a little bit about what the apparatus is, what it did, and what's next.
Okay, thank you, sir.
We have a diagram on
A great achievement the apparatus that our high school students made.
Mm-hmm.
What it was is, they had a project where they were measuring the effect of the ozone layer on agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
And so they built this, inside of this is a camera, a bunch of sensors, and an SD card. So it launched, it went 70,000 feet on July 21st, which is about 13.25 miles. It went straight up, and what it did was, on its ascent, it would periodically take measurements through the sensors that were recorded to the SD card that's still located here within this system. After it reached 70,000 feet, then it went horizontally before, and it took some measurements there before it came back down. It was a great hit to the point where NASA, Aerostar sent this back to us with the SD card in it, because they want us to actually disaggregate the data and analyze the data that's in it. And we will be analyzing the data, the engineering students, along with some of the students in the science department. We'll be looking at through physical science and see how these things actually come out. And they want to actually communicate the findings, and we're looking at trying to get this whole thing publicized in some science and engineering journals. And so they
Yeah,
send
it's
it back.
fantastic. Bill, now you had mentioned to me, correct me if I'm wrong, that the seniors from last year will be coming back
Yes,
to
sir.
disaggregate the data and then pass it off to the
Yes,
this
sir.
year's seniors.
There are 7, and one thing too about the Piscataway team, a lot of the other people who tried to present, they had 20 and 30 people on the team, they only had 7 kids on our team. Those 7 kids were seniors, they graduated, and they're tentatively scheduled to come back on next Friday, coming back to the high school to actually break into this. I'd love to be there when they do that. Pull the SD card out and start analyzing the data with current students that are in the programs there as well. And so they want to kind of pass the baton from the 7 seniors who graduated into some more students who want to actually break into this and figure it out. So I think that they are very, 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 very smart, very bright. And we really want to thank Mr. Paul Mazur, also Ms. Robin Kay, CTE, for actually helping put these things in overseas.
So Dr. O'Malley, what's the chemical formula for ozone?
I was just gonna ask you the same thing.
I don't know it.
And after we figure this out, then they're gonna display this somewhere at the high school
Mm-hmm.
and campus.
Well, I think it's a fantastic project that they did. And I would recommend, as someone who belongs to this association, and they have the magazine that I've now been putting up to high school for a while, that I think that some of their findings, they could probably publish in Chemical Engineering and News magazine, which is the weekly magazine of the American Chemical Society. And I think that they, because actually one of the students in the past up there actually submitted a picture for chemistry and pictures, and was actually in that magazine. So that would be my recommendation. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, so stay tuned. When the findings come out and we take the next step, we'll be sure to report to the board. But it's a great thing to be associated with. We're really proud.
All right.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Dr. Rinelli. I'm going to hold off before continuing while everyone is taking an opportunity to look at it. We were fortunate in curriculum to have some of the students come on and participate in one of our meetings.
Yeah.
And they actually gave us some insight to what they did, what they were trying to achieve. And this was just before it was sent off to NASA for launching. So
Yeah.
it's great to see it in person instead of on the
Congratulations, us.
computer.
Dr. Baskerville, do you happen to know where that specifically launched from?
Who was in South Dakota?
Wow.
I've never been there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the data is at the different levels.
It has like a little turn button on the bottom.
Hopefully it didn't launch where there was already a hole in the ozone.
The ozone layer like repairing itself,
Only
which
you
they thought
do.
never happened.
There's nobody in South. There's no, you're good.
I said, I don't think there's agriculture, but they must be within like the data of agriculture that's growing in.
We'll see.
That's incredible.
I think it's a great project because, UV visible radiation comes down through, and ozone plays
Sure.
a big role in that. And if you throw off the UV visible radiation over the seasons, it's gonna have an effect on your vegetation and everything else, so I think it's a real project.
Thank you for that insight, Tom.
I
Next
studied ozone at one point.
Next on the agenda is Personnel and Labor Relations. Ms. Salgado Cohen.
Be it resolved that the following motions identified as items A through K be approved as presented.
Second. Mr. Secretary, can you please take the roll call?
Mrs. Guardino?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Sheed?
Yes.
Mrs. Salgado Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Scotto?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Dr. Connors?
Yes.
Ms. Cherry?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Public comments from the floor. The Board of Education recognizes the value of public comments on educational issues and school matters of community interest. In support of this position, the law established a period of public comment at every board meeting. Individuals wishing to speak must state their name and address. Comments are limited to 3-minute durations, but an individual may speak a second time after all others who wish to speak on the topic have been heard. The board may require that individuals register to speak prior to the beginning of the meeting. Participants may submit written material in support of their position. All statements and/or questions shall be directed to the presiding officer, and no participant may address or question board members individually. All speakers are requested to express themselves in a civil matter with due respect of dignity and privacy rights of others whose legal rights may be affected. Please note, while it is not the board's intention to stifle comments on matters of legitimate concern to the school community, the public should be aware that if their statements violate the rights of others under the law governing defamation or invasion of privacy, they may face personal liability to the injured party. If speakers are uncertain of their legal ramifications of their comments, the board urges them to seek guidance beforehand from their own legal advisor. Is there anyone wishing to say anything in the public session? Being I don't see anyone wishing to stand up and speak, can I have a motion to close public session?
Motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public session is closed. Committee reports. We have one committee report for this evening, Fiscal and Planning and Operations. Dr. Connors.
Yeah, the Fiscal Planning and Operations Committee met on September 6th, 2023, to discuss capital projects, the energy savings improvement program, transportation, and more. On the 2023 to 2024, stabilization aid is something that the state offers up after they do the budget. And after some discussion about this topic, the committee discussed an application process and agreed not to pursue this stabilization aid. Facility capital projects, HVAC upgrades, 21 HVAC rooftop units were installed and connected over the summer. Building controls are still being connected, and optimization and balancing need to be completed at Knollwood and Randolphville. The delayed installation has necessitated a request for an extension of the liquidation period for ESSER 2 federal grant funds. I think that's the elementary, secondary, whatever that is. It's a federal program. Water cooler upgrades. 33 bottle filling stations were installed over the summer and have passed building department inspections. Actually, they were mentioned by our senior rep. Paving projects.
Tom, I looked it up, 8 of which were at the high school.
8 of which were at the high school. And these are the old water coolers. These are stations where you can actually bring a container up and actually get filtered water.
They're in this building as well.
In this building, and so it's nice to have them there. Paving projects, paving and concrete sidewalk projects were completed at Kanakamak, Quibbelltown, and Shore Middle Schools. Piscataway High School woodshop equipment, Spiesel Architectural has started working on the initial phases of the project, including the submission of project information to the Department of Education. Door hardware replacement. The projected budget for door hardware replacement has increased to $7.2 million. The committee supports moving forward with this project. A bid award is tentatively scheduled for January 24. And what this is about is that a couple years ago, there's an opportunity for us to keep going in proposal of capital projects. And there was a whole list of capital projects up to $80 million. And In the last couple of years, we've looked at that, and what's been happening with our state aid, everything else, is that we decided not to ask a referendum to go out and do those, but instead to pare it down to what we thought, the board thought, was the most important. And seeing how safety is an important issue in our schools, is that this project is a project where, if you can imagine, every one of these doors has a sort of a lock on it, that there would be a button that would be pushed, and they would all lock at the same time. And that seems to be, if you look at a lot of what's been happening around the nations in terms of these events, is that it's critical to be able to lock down, within the first like 20 minutes or so. So that's what that's about. So that's why. But the thing, what stood out here that David pointed out at our meeting, fiscal meeting, was that the pricing was around $3.5 million. So waiting just 1 year, look what happened. It's 7.2 million. So it's really, it's a lot more, but it's still important to pursue. Energy Savings Improvement Program. This program is where you identify energy savings over a 15-year period each year, and you, by doing improvements, and those improvements actually pay for the bond. So you're getting energy savings, and you're getting money, and you can do improvements with it. So transformer upgrades were completed at Kanakamak and Quibbletown, and remain to be done at King and Piscataway High School. Asbestos abatement and window removal for the Piscataway High School Patton classrooms is completed. Delivery and installation of the new windows is expected in September. The classrooms have temporarily plywood barriers and are available for use. Transportation, administrators reported timely arrivals at the start of the year. Subscription busing placements were processed through the end of August. New placements have been put on hold pending a review of route schedules and ridership. Food services. Serving line equipment upgrades. 4 new serving lines were installed in August at Kanakamak, Eisenhower, Knollwood, and King. New kitchen equipment was installed at Eisenhower, King, and Quibbletown. Free and reduced lunch applications. You may see this online. It's very important to get people to fill these out because they don't know if they're eligible until you fill this out.
It's on the marquees.
And it's on the marquees, and so please fill those out. Reminder messages to complete this year's application were delivered to parents via email, phone call, a text on August 21st and September 6th. A flyer was posted to social media, and a video demonstrating how to complete the online application is posted. Because identifying free and reduced lunch, the percentage, it's actually related to money that we receive through the federal,
State aid.
the state aid. So business office.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Just a recommendation. So when you get the email, like it all comes at one time. So you get the email, you get the phone call, you get the text message, it like blows up your phone all at once. Is there a way where we can like almost stagger it? So send an email, then next week, I don't know, send a text. Because people are kind of shutting it off because they're like, ah, and then, it's, if you're reminding periodically, you got a better chance that maybe someone might fill it in rather than being like, why am I being blown up on my phone and all at once?
And David, just in addition to my understanding, I mean, I know it was always a thrust for us to make sure that we have these communications, especially going out to those in the primary languages that are spoken in addition to English, correct?
Yeah, so the application is available in 9, including English, I think, 9 different languages on the website.
Perfect, thank
And
you.
I think it's great that it's right online. So I think it makes it.
Yeah, the video's great, and there are much more benefits than just lunch, right? PSAT, and PSAT we do, but SAT, fees, college
Application fees,
applications, things like that are also part of the benefits that
So
someone would get.
maybe that's also part of the messaging we
Yeah.
put out, that there's multiple benefits, so in addition to, it helping with our aid, but, maybe if parents, the applications are super expensive.
That's the main message that we send.
Yeah.
Helping us is part of it,
Yes,
but the main
yes,
message
but I mean, there's-
is all the other benefits that you
Oh.
get.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
and
in there.
that's part of
Yeah.
the
Yeah, so
actual
on the back of the
message.
report,
Yes, I
for
wonder if we
example,
could-
this was on one of the flyers that should have gone out with the messaging.
Yeah.
It's on,
So
It's on a
maybe,
lot of
but
social
I'm
media.
thinking like, that may be maybe targeting like certain, so your juniors, right, and your seniors, maybe you emphasize that part too, right? Just an idea, just, people may have different priorities. So just an idea, I mean, I know we can do everything we can to get more people to
sure.
fill it out,
Yep.
to help them.
Yeah, the last piece is a business office update, investment account. The committee reviewed the August 2023 NJ ARM statement. This was an account that we started, that we could do, where we could invest a good portion of money, so have some of your money work for your money. The new 90-day term investment was purchased on July 11th and has a maturity date of October 5th, 2023. Facilities requests, Mr. Oliveira discussed the request for a facility rental discount received from a renter. The committee tabled the discussion until the October meeting. Certificate of Excellence, which our board president mentioned in financial reporting. Mr. Oliveira informed the committee that the district received the recognition for the 2021-22 audit report, and this is the 6th consecutive year the district has received the award.
David, I'm sure you told us before, what was the rate, right, on the NJ ARM?
Oh, so there's two different, we have call like a daily account where it just
Okay.
has a small amount of money in it, and that was around 5.2%. And the 90-day term investment we got, I think it was 5.28.
That's,
And
that was
we,
a smart
and
investment.
the amount is
Right.
$14 million. So
So-
we're making, so that's the percentage on 14 million.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's a positive of this high interest rate.
Well, you'll see later on, is it later in the fiscal where we vote on increasing it because of,
No, that just was approved by the committee.
that was just, we approved, but we looked at the numbers and we actually said that we have room to invest $1 million more.
And one more
That's
question.
in line with the policy that
Right.
the policy committee
Right.
reviewed and was approved by the full board.
Can I ask why you decided not to pursue stabilization aid?
Yes, so the application, so we already received 2/3 of what our state aid cut was. We received it back already. The other thing is the application process specifically tells you to review certain things before you go back to them asking for stabilization aid. And a couple of the things they ask you to review is your reserve accounts. We have reserve accounts. So I thought it
makes
very
sense.
unlikely that they
They
would
would approve
approve
more money
it
when you have money
when we
waiting?
have reserve
Sure.
accounts
Right.
already.
That makes
Um,
sense.
And, you know, we're not one of these districts that lost 10 million and might be able to recoup 4 million. You know, our number was we lost 530,000. They already gave us 350,000 back. So they don't tell you this, but my assumption is we're looking at 180,000, which I would love to get for the district, but the reality is we have some reserve accounts and it's a
Most
small
likely.
amount. So I consider it unlikely that they
I
would approve
understand.
it.
Yeah, that's good sense.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
once a year, the Department of Education looks across all the districts to figure out how much each district's gonna get in state aid. And there's a state aid formula. It's been very controversial, and this past year was the first year that Piscataway actually got a decrease in state aid. And so these are legislators who are up for re-election in November, and what happened is that a lot of districts, say like our district didn't get $500,000 out of $22 million in state aid. There's other districts that are up in the hundreds of millions and so on and so forth. And so the legislator said, let's not fix the formula, or whatever. Let's just look at all these districts and put Band-Aids and say, we're gonna come up with a big dollar figure, and that will backfill 2/3 of what we didn't give you. That was their thinking, that was it. There was nothing else thinking on that. But then they said, to get you whole, you can apply for the other $180,000 of the difference, but it comes with all of these little things of like, well, you know, in the past, I've been here for, 14 years, is that sometimes they'll say, you've got too much money, we're thinking about taking some more away from you. So it wasn't a good idea to go after 180,000, the risk of like being exposed of them, whatever it wasn't, so that was the thing.
Thank you, Dr. Connors.
I
Ms.
have a
Henry?
question.
Yeah, and then I have a couple updates
Sure.
I wanted to.
Good.
So the door hardware replacement, do you have different companies that will be bidding for it, or, so,
So we get, the architect talks to different vendors to get a budget estimate of where it may come in, but we do put out a bid document, and it's open to, so what we tend to do is you spec a certain product. Now, a vendor can respond to the bid with a comparable product, but we provide a baseline of what requirements we want the product to have. So the product is up for bid, and the contractor who will actually do the work is up for bid. So typically, the contractor bids, and then they tell you which product they're going to use.
Okay.
And that's the process we're going through now? Or have we done that process?
No, we're starting that, so
We're
that'll
starting
happen
that.
over the next few months.
Right.
We're looking at opening bids in December and awarding at the January meeting to hopefully give us 6 months to have the winning contractor order the devices and start in the summer of '24 would be our goal. We don't think they can get through the whole district in one summer of installing these.
I have a question. It's not related to the doors, but for the asbestos thing, like, are we detecting asbestos like in other parts of the building or like just the windows? Like, I
So
don't know.
asbestos is, I don't want to say everywhere, but in many,
So true.
many materials, building materials.
Yeah.
Undisturbed, it's not a risk.
Okay.
Okay? But when you do construction work, you're disturbing stuff, so you test for it. If it's identified, then you take the remediation procedures. So, you know, it's, like I said, it's around, but if it's not what they call friable, meaning getting airborne, then it's not
A lot of time it'll be in the caulk around windows, things like
Yeah.
that. So Mr. Olivera and myself had a conversation over the summer about the best way to go. He made some suggestions, and to remediate that and remove it when nobody was around in the summer was the best way to go. We knew there would be a delay in the windows, in getting the windows in, but we thought it was the best way, the safest way to go for the district.
Okay. Cool. Just curious. We have a lot of asbestos in Rutgers, so
Old
I don't know.
buildings.
It's
This is a
everywhere.
red flag.
Old,
It's
old
everywhere.
buildings.
Yeah.
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 Any buildings that had work done up until late 70s
Yeah.
probably.
It was made right over here in Manville.
That's right.
Which brings me to one of my first updates about the windows. The windows did arrive on Tuesday, and they started installing them already. And so we're on target for the windows to be put in by the end of the month.
Awesome.
Okay, great.
Okay?
Yeah, typically they could do about one, they're telling us about one classroom a night. We'll wait till after they leave, they'll set up, and hopefully,
Great.
again, we have a couple weeks left, so 12 classrooms, so.
Yep. So, we received some unfortunate news within the last few days. The ROD grants that we had applied for, we did not receive. If you recall, so on our prioritization schedule of capital projects, the door hardware was first.
Right.
And then upgrading the bathrooms in the K-8 buildings, and that's what we had applied for. And, you know, I said it at the time, the state's $350 million was not going to go very far. And they had a prioritization list, and, you know, from what we can tell, they didn't really even make it out of prioritization level 1, maybe level 2 they got to, but even some projects, my architect tells me that they submitted for other districts that were in priority level 1 did not get funded. So the $350 million
This didn't go far, yeah.
did not go far at all.
Fast.
So unfortunately, no potential aid coming for that project. It still remains a priority for us, but we're going to focus on the door hardware first, and then we'll revisit the K-8 bathrooms.
So this door hardware has come up a lot in this meeting tonight. When I first got here 10 years, I sat in Dr. Lotman's seat. We put together a 5-year safety plan, and this was on that plan 10 years ago. Right at the time, the technology wasn't as good as it was or as cheap as it was, so it was even more than the $7.2 million. So it wasn't something we could do. So we looked to put it in some plans that did not come to fruition. The fact that we are this far is so exciting to me, because this was 10 years ago that we were like, we have to do this, right? Where not a lot of districts were doing it. And for you all to support this is a feather in your cap, and you know, that really shows that you put safety first. It is one of the best things that we could do to keep a building safe. And I appreciate it, I really do. From the bottom of my heart, to see it come to fruition is fantastic. So with David and his office, and hopefully the coming months, to get it started in the summer would be great. So.
Fantastic.
And last thing, thank you to Ms. Cherry, Board President, for suggesting the free and reduced lunch video.
Yeah, fantastic.
And as was mentioned in the report, it's up on the website, walks you through the steps to complete the application on Genesis, which is where the forms are done. So thank you for the suggestion.
Not a problem, kudos.
Good job.
Okay, and next on the agenda for tonight, the approval of minutes, Ms. Lane.
Be it resolved that the following minutes be approved as submitted. Business meeting, August 10th, 2023. Executive session, August 10th, 2023.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, fiscal plan and operations, Dr. Connors.
We had just done that. No, wait a minute. Oh,
Catch up, Tom, come on,
Catch
come
up.
on.
Talked a lot about fiscal. Be it resolved, the following motions identified as items A through J be approved as presented.
Second.
Mr. Secretary, can you take the roll call, please?
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Sheed?
Yes.
Mrs. Salgado Cowan?
Yes.
Ms. Scotto?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordino?
Yes?
Dr. Connors?
Yes.
Ms. Cherry?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Policy, Ms. Smith.
Be it resolved that the following motions identified as items A and B be approved as presented.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Secretary, please take the roll.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Sheed?
Yes.
Mrs. Salgado Cowan?
Yes.
Ms. Scotto?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordino?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Dr. Connors?
Yes.
Ms. Cherry?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Curriculum, Mr. King.
Madam President, before we
Sure.
move on, can we just we're talking about a lot about safety. Can we just have someone talk about that policy on school threat assessment teams so they know what's going on?
Sure. This past year, the legislature passed a law that requires school districts to have threat assessment teams throughout the district, each school, and also recommends that there be a district team that oversees it. It has to be a multidisciplinary team. The idea is to get ahead of threats before they occur, to establish parameters for what to look for, while at the same time make sure we're not unfairly profiling kids, but to keep aware of the warning signs that might indicate that a child might be a danger to themselves or others. Not to jam people up, but to make sure that we get those people the resources they need to solve the problem and hopefully avoid that situation. So school districts around the state are all getting up and running with these threat assessment teams. Tonight you're adopting a fairly detailed protocol recommended by Strauss Esme to operationalize this, and we're moving forward.
There are many different models for the threat assessment teams, actually many different. There's three. Piscataway has chosen we chose to have each school have its own team, and then Dr. Lotman be the liaison from the central office to all those teams.
Thank you.
Stuff we've already been doing. We feel very strongly that we take care of kids as much as we can, but this memorializes what the state and puts it in a package that they want to call threat assessment teams.
All right. Thank you for that information, Dr. Manillo and Mr. Rubin. Mr. King?
Be resolved that the following motions identified as items A through F be approved as presented.
Second.
Mr. Secretary, can you please take the roll call?
Mr. Sheed?
Yes.
Mrs. Salgado Cowan?
Yes.
Ms. Scotto?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordino?
Yes, I just have a quick question. Does it
Yeah,
mind?
sure.
Is that EduSeer? Is
Italian.
that for Italian?
Italian.
Okay.
We have knocked on every door in the
I
state of New
understand,
Jersey.
I understand. We're in the same.
Confident to say
we're in the
that.
same boat. Understood. I just didn't know if it was still for that.
Yes, it is.
Discipline.
Yep.
Okay,
See,
sorry. So yes,
No?
yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Dr. Connors?
yes.
Ms. Cherry?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Pupil Services, Ms. Cordino?
Be it resolved that the following motions identified as A through B be approved as presented.
Second?
Mr. Secretary, please take the roll call.
Mrs. Salgado Cowan?
Yes.
Ms. Scotto?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordino?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Sheed?
Yes.
Dr. Connors?
Yes.
Ms. Cherry?
Yes.
Motion's carried.
Administrative and Auxiliary, Ms. Scotto?
Be it resolved that the following motions identified as items A through D be approved as presented.
Second. Mr. Secretary, can you please take the roll?
Ms. Scotto?
Yes.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mrs. Cordino?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes.
Mr. Sheed?
Yes.
Mrs. Salgado Cowan?
Yes.
Dr. Connors?
Yes.
Ms. Cherry?
Yes.
Motion's carried. On
Go to
page
page
13,
13.
Ms. Scotto?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. We separated, so this resolution is regarding attendance at the New Jersey School Board Association workshop. After Ms. Scotto reads to be it resolved, and we have a second, When you vote, I'll call your name, you can just say yes, assuming you want to approve your fellow board members. Yes, and abstain on your own name, okay?
Okay. Be it resolved that the following motion, identified as item E, be approved as presented.
Second?
Mr. Secretary, can you take the roll?
Ms. Scotto?
Do I say abstain?
Yes, everybody,
Yes.
give your name.
Oh,
Abstain
yes,
on-
but abstain to Ms. Scotto.
Yes. Ms. Smith?
Yes, abstain to Brenda Smith.
Mrs. Cordino?
Yes, abstain to Nancy Cordino.
Mr. King?
Yes, but abstain to Courtney James King.
Mrs. Lane?
Yes, abstain. But yes to all, abstain for Kimberly Lane.
Mr. Sheed?
Yes, abstain from Ms. Rashid.
Mrs. Salgado Cowan?
Yes, and abstain from Nancy Salgado Cowan.
Dr. Connors?
Yes to everyone and abstain on Dr. Tom Connors.
And Ms. Cherry?
Yes for everyone and abstain for Chantel Cherry.
Motion carries.
Old business, anyone have any old business to be discussed?
Madam
Sure,
President?
Dr. Connors.
A few things. We all decided to do the board self-evaluation that's administered by the New Jersey School Board Association. And we'll be scheduling a session with one of our field representatives to go over that. But I wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to go online and filling out the evaluation. And we do have the results, and what we'll do is just have a session to go over them so that, we all think about how we're governing. Second thing is that along those same lines, it's always good to keep learning, and we also decided to do what's known as a New Jersey School Board's board certification. And what that is it's a program that has, the board picks topics and their credit hours, and over a 4-year period, the New Jersey School Board gives you time to do these credit hours. And we've been doing them often, it's 16 that you need. So we've tried to do 8 sessions in this up to 4 years. But we only started it like 6 months ago, and we've already up to 6 credit hours. So next time we do it, we'll be halfway there. But it's, what you end up with is these plaques that are over there. But it's basically, you pick topics. The next couple of topics that we're going to do is student achievement and the board's role in curriculum. And we will schedule that as well. And so it really doesn't matter who's on the board, so long as that the board keeps doing this, and we will eventually get the certification. And that's it, Madam President, for me on old business.
Thank you, Dr. Connors. Anyone else with old business? Seeing no one, new business. Any new
Yes,
business? Okay, well,
For new,
to my left.
Okay, for new business, I am pleased to serve as the Middlesex County School Board's alternate, as well as and reporting to the state board. The next state board meeting will be next Friday night in Trenton for us officers to attend. And then the Middlesex County School Board meeting will be at a new venue this year. This time around, it was previously at Pierre's in South Brunswick. The new venues, and these are hosted both online and in person. You can opt as a board member. Anyone within the state who's a board member has the opportunity to join either virtually or come in person to these sessions. The next Middlesex County School Board meeting, the first of this year, will be hosted on the 4th at the Colonia Country Club. So it's worthwhile. I always promote it as, the Middlesex County School Board officer, as the alternate. You learn a lot. They have varied topics that are on deck, and they have some great speakers, and you get a chance to learn everything from legislative updates to what's going on within the county, and the opportunity to speak with your fellow board members within the county, and then also throughout the state. So look forward to that.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Lyons. Ms. Salgado Cohen?
Just a new business, I wanted to just make a announcement that the Culture and Climate Community Relations meeting that is listed on the back of your agenda today as September the 19th, has been moved to October the 3rd, at the same time at 7 PM. So just we can update this
Thank
to
you.
reflect that. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
I'll just do one quick.
Sure.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Eisenhower. They're having a back to school. So before back to school night, they're having a like ice cream back to school night kickoff this Friday. So once again, just like an amazing school who is finding creative ways to engage students and the community. And getting excited about the beginning of the school year. So I'll be attending that, and look forward to seeing everybody there.
Thank you, Nance.
Just have one quick thing.
Sure.
So this is for board members. Back to school night is coming, and you all are liaisons to one of the schools. Principals will be giving you time to speak to the audience at the beginning of the night. Ms. Smith will be covering the high school for us, as many of the board members here have parents who are at the school. So they'll be there in parent mode. Please let me know if you cannot make it. I see some of the principals already emailed you to confirm your availability and if you'll be speaking. I gave you talking points in your CSO packets. There's a lot there. So if you want to pare that down and whatever you feel comfortable with, that's wonderful. But the most important part is that you let me know if you can't make it. All right, I know that some of the principals reached out. I'd rather be the one to let them know, look, you need to replace it, or me try to find a replacement if you can't make it. So if you have a question about the date, it's online as well, but the middle schools are this coming Tuesday. The 4-5s are this coming Wednesday. The high school is next Thursday. And the elementary schools are the 27th. So again, if you're assigned to one of those schools and you cannot make it, please just let me know. And the principals, when you get to the school that night, please just see the principal first, and the principal will kind of guide you what you ever need to do.
All right, thank you, Dr. Manelli. Dr. Connors?
Madam President, I just have a few things. The first is that, as the reps mentioned, fall sports have started, and that we all have received a Greater Middlesex County Athletic Pass. And so you can go online and get the sports schedule. Recommend that, you try and get to some of the games, especially senior nights. The players and the parents, they really appreciate it if they see, school board members out there. Second thing is, my neighbor, Diva Kankaran Manamaran, we've been living next to each other now for like 15 years, and he's a senior. And he was just one of the teens that won the Youth Volunteer of the Year Award. He's a senior from the New Jersey Sharing Network. And I'm constantly,
I know him, yes. I see him.
And what he did is that, you can form a club up at the high school.
Yeah.
And his mom works for Robert Wood Johnson as a nurse and so on, and just incredible, great family. And he was Devakaran. He was the founder and president of the Piscataway High School's Donate Life Club, which works to educate students and local communities about organ and tissue donations, plan volunteer events to support the New Jersey Sharing Network, and inspire members to register as organ and tissue donors. So this is my neighbor.
So
and,
I can tell you this personally. I run this race every year in New Providence. I've run it since it started.
Yeah.
And I've seen Devakar and his dad volunteers every single year handing out waters. And it's so important to bring awareness to be an organ donor. And I can tell you this, personally, my daughter joined the organ donation club at her school.
Yep.
So the more awareness that comes,
Yep.
then the more we can do, to help people who are in need of transplants.
Yeah, and this, it wasn't, he was from Piscataway, but this was statewide. There was a winner
Yeah,
from
that's
Edison
awesome.
and a woman from Wyckoff and from Keyport, so it wasn't just something, so it's
He's a good-
statewide.
He's a good kid.
So the next thing is that, Kimberly Lane mentioned it, the local board members getting out the county school board meetings, and she mentioned when the next one is. And we'd like you to go to the next one because New Jersey School Boards also has a board member academy where you take these credits online and so on. And I'm happy to say that we have with us someone who just became a certified board member. Chantel Cherry.
Yay.
And this
Thank you,
isn't
guys.
something you do overnight, because this is something that can take years, because it's 20 credits, 20 credits, and 20 credits. And there's, there's certified board member, there's master board member, and then there's certified board leader.
They're
And-
certified new board members too, Tom?
Yes,
Well,
they do.
no, well,
Yes.
certified new
Yes,
board
yes,
members.
Yes, they
There
do.
are, I'm
It's
working
new.
on mine. Look out, this year.
Well,
And
go
her one
for
too,
it.
right? Yeah.
And I think one of the new state officers will be able to handle her certificate,
That's
so.
awesome.
Oh,
Oh, you.
yeah, yeah,
You.
yeah.
Oh, you, Tom.
Yeah.
I didn't put two and two together.
I didn't say you said it.
Alrighty, guys.
No, anyway, but the
Come on
thing is that, think about
Let's look what's going on
this,
over there.
think about this, but,
It's 8:25, friends.
but no, but it's important because, you learn about advocacy, labor relations, finance, all the things that we're doing as a board, and you can also do it individually, and I think that that's great to do. And, the last thing that I have, Nancy, and, is that, October, is the workshop down in Atlantic City. And if you get an opportunity to do that, please sign up and go to the workshop. And that's it, Madam
All right,
President.
thank you, Dr. Connors. Anyone else with new business? Well, I guess I'll delay this. Can I have a motion for
I make a
adjournment?
motion for
Can I have a
adjournment.
second? In favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.
Can't, sun's out.